Hello, this is Kwabi. Welcome to another episode of 50 Shades of Over 50. And I have as my fabulous guest today, Stephanie Spence. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here because your energy and everything that you are about inspires me so much. So I'm so happy to talk to your.
Thank
you
you.
for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. So my first question, which is always the first question I ask all my guests, is how old are you?
I'm 61, happily 61.
See, I like that. You said 61 happily. See, that's the energy that I try to, kind of pass on to all my viewers, because sometimes, society can make you feel that your age, you kind of have to be ashamed of your age. So you don't really say your age with pride. So for you to say that, I absolutely love it.
I think it's up to all of us to demystify and to dismantle ageism, because I have been shamed by some of my followers, and they use a disparaging term, which fascinates me. They're like, yeah, go home, grandma. And I've said to so many people, I would be honored to be a grandma. I'm not yet. And it might not even happen for me. So to try and shame me somehow by calling me old doesn't resonate with me at all. And in my spiritual life, I know that I have compassion for them because they have been taught these behaviors.
Yes.
They may be angry or hurt, and somehow they want to lash out at me and make me feel bad. And I just don't bite because I don't feel an age that I should be ashamed of. I actually feel ageless.
Yeah.
And I think that the key for me is to speak up and to try like you're doing and show anyone or everyone, hopefully people that don't already agree with me, people that have yet to figure out that you've been lied to. I love being my age. Every year gets better and better for me. Yeah. And I think that's huge. Huge.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because it can be rough for women our age on social media. And like you said, they've just been taught this. And so they're saying that. So it's up to us individually to really dispel that myth. It's all of us, have to do our part to do this. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
And I think it's a yes and, because as I do a good job of taking the energy that might make me feel despair or shame and taking that energy and figuring it out, because yes, we have very real issues like menopause. Menopause was rough for me in the beginning. Yeah. And you have to take that energy, and instead of sinking down into being stuck, one of the tools that you and I know, I use yoga to get into action.
Yeah.
So for me, karma, which is the Sanskrit word for action, is all about, no matter how you're feeling today, get up, do something, anything, get into action. Yeah. And I think that's the key of moving through a challenging stage at any age. But yes, we have very real and valid, and we want to honor
that. Of course.
That there are, things coming our way all the time, but yet I think it's a choice. We have a decision today to say, I'm going to do something.
Yes.
And it's either help somebody else get out into the world and meet someone else like you. I just dream of the day that we're sitting together at a cafe in real life. But because of social media, I've met you. Yeah. So we could take anything, I think, and bend it to our fabulous, limitless potential. And that's what I'm all about. And that's what I feel from you. And it transcends through this medium. So I feel grateful that I have managed my connections and my feed. You can always say, hey, click, I'm not interested in that.
Right, exactly.
So the algorithms don't mess with your world. Yes, I'm very active as an activist my whole life. I know what's going on. I know the challenges. I mentor a lot of younger women right now that are terrified in our country. And I have family members that are people of color, and you know, ever since the George Floyd thing. I mean, our
Yes.
country has issues. Our
Yeah.
world has issues. Our
For
life.
sure.
So I think it's about managing and reaching for limitless opportunities for yourself
Yeah.
to bring you to a state of joy.
I agree with that. And talking about menopause, so I am actually having a hot flash right now. So I have my fan that is cooling me down a little bit. So these are real issues, and we deal with them and
Yes.
we keep it moving. I'm not going to let this stop me from doing what I need to do in the world. I'm just not going to do that.
Exactly.
So, yeah, because I mean, we have a lot of work to do, you know.
Yes.
So I am going forward, moving forward with it.
Yes. And you know what? I don't want to diminish
Yes.
issues that women have that have been diminished. Like I have a niece right now who's pregnant, and I said to her, I said, you know what, you need to stop though and say, wow, I am incredible. Because simple things like being pregnant and bringing a child into the world, I think it's just kind of like, whatever, everybody does it. No, this is amazing. And same thing, this transition for us now into this next, you know, epic adventure that we have coming out of that potential into who we are. Same thing. It can be rough. It can be challenging. It can also be incredible. And I think that it can also be, that's what you have to lean into.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I like to tell my clients too, when you're looking at any situation, it's always good to give airtime to both sides of it. I know sometimes we want to just kind of look at the negative side, but we also have to look at the positive, because there's always a positive side to it. And I really believe that what you focus on grows. So focus on both sides. You get to decide if you want to focus on the negative side, but I think it's important that you look at both sides, you know, because there's always.
I think you're so right. And you know, it's interesting because as people explore things, wellness techniques like mindfulness or meditation, mindfulness. There's one idea that I love so much that really brings me into a grounded place. In between, like breaths at the end of doing something, there's a little pause. Same thing in between awareness and choice and reaction. There's a pause. Think about that piece, that little piece of that's vast. In between information coming in, me looking at it, and what I do after that, that's a piece that I think is fascinating right now for women and people our age that are looking at, wow, what do I want this next piece to be? You know? And that choice, I think, is where all the power is.
Love it.
Because
I agree.
when you claim that agency instead of being afraid of it, I mean, it's fear. It's fear. It's awful. Tell fear to take a hike today.
That's right.
For an hour.
That's it. Yeah. And I like what you talked about when you talk about fear. Fear doesn't mean you stop. Fear just makes you just be aware of it, but it doesn't mean you don't keep going forward. Fear can be here. I always like to say, fear, come take a seat. But you're not driving. I'm driving. Let's go.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I had to do that when I was writing my book. I was just like, in fact, I put it up in the corner. I don't know if that works. But that whole censor, that fear thing, that, oh, who are you to think that, you know.
That happened to me too. Same thing when I was writing my book. Same thing.
Yeah. And you just have to go, you know what? You can like hang out over there. I'm going to do my thing. Same thing. I'm driving the car.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. So I want to talk about something amazing that you did. So you did this amazing feat, and you were probably, I mean, give us the details. I want to, because you know it better. So what is it that you did that just, I read and I was like, what? I have to speak to you.
I wanted to challenge myself, and every year around my birthday, it's not a New Year's resolution. I think, okay, what do it's only one thing this year. In fact, I wish I could do like one a month, but there is something in yoga called tapas. And tapas is intentionally two things: getting rid of something that doesn't serve you. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to do sugar for a week. Let's just we know it's not making us feel good, but I'm going to get rid of that. And
Yes.
then the other piece is challenge yourself.
Mm.
Intentionally put yourself in a challenging situation. In a yoga class, it could be a headstand, right? Or it could be a challenging pose. But I decided that I wanted to trek, which is basically hike, to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the highest freestanding mountain in the world.
That was your challenge. So not a headstand.
No. And I wanted it to be, because I've had 2 knee surgeries for ACL and I've had a total hip replacement. I wanted it to be something physical. So I have hiked all over the world, and I know I can hike. I can walk. If I take my time, I can walk up a mountain. And one of the principles that I love about this idea was that, yes, I had to be physically, but more than that, mentally and spiritually prepared to do this. So we had traveled to 15 countries in 8 months, and on purpose, we did this at the end.
Oh, wow.
So
you weren't okay, so just to ask this question, sorry to interrupt. So you were in different countries, so not even at home where you were, your comfort zone, where you know what you, okay, keep going.
And I think that preparation of how grueling it is to be in other countries. You know, in our country, we have spent a huge amount of energy getting very comfortable.
Yes.
Very comfortable. And as most people know, when they travel, it really forces you. Yeah, exactly. So I was already in that mindset, but I was also already in a mindset of, wow, I've done yoga in Mongolia and Tibet, and I just came from Dharamshala where the Dalai Lama lives. So I'm already in this energy that's building to, you know what? Our life is so short. I mean, you have to grab as much as possible.
I agree.
Because why not? I mean, we're not taught to say, wow, I can do this. I'll figure out a way. I'll do anything. So of course you cannot go and do it alone. You have to get a guide, thank God, because they Sherpa you
the
up
Sherpas,
the mountain, because it's a very real thing with altitude. So every night in your tent, they actually medically check you to make sure you're doing okay. And they turn people back. If you get to a point, people either can or cannot do physiologically altitude. Now, granted,
some people are just not, it just depends. Not everyone can do that.
Exactly. And actually, there was a man that was next to us one night, and he was incredibly fit, but his body wasn't able to handle the altitude. And he was so sad and angry and disappointed. They said,
and you won't know that, right? And you don't know that
until you're there. So that's a big thing. But more than that, we tried to just say, you know what? Whatever's meant to be is meant to be. Even if we don't make it to the top. So there's so many layers to the experience. And we wanted to do it as a couple. And together, we had this life-altering experience that I draw on all the time, because at 10 days, some people do it in 5, 8. We wanted it to be where it wasn't so grueling. Yes. But I have in the past run a marathon, and this was similar to that, except you got up every day and did the marathon.
Wow.
But if I can do it, anyone can. And I think that's the big thing that I want people to know. I am not, I mean, I have had a total hip replacement in my knees. It is it was a mental and a spiritual thing for me.
And how old were you when you did that? How old were you?
I was 60.
Wow.
The ability, and you know what? We weren't the oldest people on the mountain. There was 80-year-olds doing it. And
I love it.
All around the world. But I think the big thing that I want to share with people is that why not? Why not try?
Yes.
And even if you fail, you would have learned something.
Oh, you learned something huge. I mean,
huge
imagine what you
process.
learned.
Right. And although it was awesome, and we got to have this not only individual experience, but this experience together, it really just showed me that we are so much stronger than we know we are. I mean, and even
Wow.
if you're uncomfortable, like the worst part for me actually was the no showers. And granted, I'm
For
not
10
the
days, right?
girl.
For 10 days?
Yeah. And brushing my teeth was nirvana. I mean, they would bring me a little bowl in the morning of water. And I think these men carried this water up. You would see our people packing in our stuff,
Yeah.
because you have to carry a backpack, but it's only enough that you can carry, meaning you have to have a team that builds a
Okay.
little
Yeah.
tent for you.
Wow.
So everything included was just so worth it, because it really was. They have a term called pole pole, which just means one foot in front of the other.
Oh.
It becomes a mantra for you that I still draw on. Pole pole, just one step. I mean, that's all you have to do every day.
Wow.
And small daily steps produce huge results.
Yes.
And I think people, either give up or they make the mountain too high. And the metaphor of just showing up for yourself and taking that step every day, a step, a step produces huge results. So my advice to people is it doesn't have to be, what's your Mount Kilimanjaro? You don't have to fly to Tanzania. You don't have to physically push yourself beyond your capacity, but I guarantee you, physically and mentally, you are stronger than you know.
Yeah.
And I think that piece, I mean, it almost makes me cry, because I think nobody told us that. Nobody. And this journey that we're on, this self that is here to experience life and perhaps to have a purpose and perhaps to have a family and love, we're all the same. Around the world, people are all the same.
Yeah.
And the thing I think that unites us is that innate need to experience life at its fullest expression.
Right.
And I think so many times it's so easy to get bogged down into listening to that thing outside of you that says, you can't do this. You're not enough. Somehow there's something you need to alter.
Yeah.
And I think that piece for me is what I draw on now so much, because our vast experience of the divine and our unique expression in the world, we too easily bite on the other piece. Like you said, if you look at it as the yin and yang, or the path you're going to take today, the road, some people have a predetermined or predestined philosophy.
Right.
And personally, I don't believe that. I believe if I walk out the door to the left today, or I go to the right, my experience is vastly different. Same thing on my little box here. What I click on, what I take in, what I listen to, outside of myself or inside myself, vastly shapes my daily experience.
Of course.
And I think, I don't know about you and the women in the 50s that I surround myself with, and the women in the 60s, 60 has been for me a deepening awareness of the limit of this cage that we came in, this time that I'm going to have. And although time is a construct, it's something that we're aware of.
Of course. Yes. And that's more reason to do all these different things like now.
Exactly. And there's other pieces that are like a letting go. Like I recently have had issues with 2 pinched nerves in my back and my elbow. And I have to let go and tell myself, you know what? You may not do this. You may not do that. And at the same time go, okay, so what? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
There's the process of letting go of perhaps things that may have, and then looking in a new direction of, okay, I'm not going to hang on to it. I think the more that we can every day drop and let go, drop and let go, you feel so free.
Yeah, it is so freeing. It is. So tell me though, when you got to the top of the mountain, What was that like? Like, seriously, like.
It was incredible. In fact, Michael and I both looked at each other and said, if this is the day that we leave this plane or whatever, I mean, if this is the day, we're okay. It was so vast and limitless and expansive that we were like, we're good. I mean, if today's the day and this is it, it was incredible. It was just because it really wasn't about the achievement. Like, I have no desire to climb Mount Everest because it's just so dangerous. You're so close to, but this is a doable experience. Like, I'm not going to push myself into a dangerous situation, but I think for me, it was about pushing yourself beyond what you believe is possible. And that's where everything is.
Oh my goodness. It just sounds so exciting. And I like what you said about, it wasn't even getting to the top, it was just the whole journey along the way. And, 10 days sleeping in, I don't know what kind of conditions.
Awful.
But doing it anyway, because you're like, I want to get to the top.
Right.
I mean, it's just.
Right.
Wow.
And they took really good care of us. But yet at the same time, I remember saying to Michael, because we just smelled so awful, I'm like, I don't want to ever experience myself again this way. I mean,
whoa. I have a quick question. Whoa. So 10 days to go up. How many days to go back down?
That's the crazy thing too. So because of the way that you're doing it, in fact, there's 2 days actually where you ascend and then you come back a little. They're testing you to see if you can do the altitude. So you're pushing your body a couple of times. So that's it's not a time waster, but you actually go up and come down a little bit on 2 days. I know. It sounds much more scary than it actually was when you were in it. Yeah. And we never felt like it wasn't possible. Yes. And whether or not that's our personality or our mindset, I think the big takeaway is that, what is your Mount Kilimanjaro? Yes. What is your thing that you're terrified of doing so you don't?
Yes.
And whether or not, like even right now, one of the things that I've always wanted to do, although I'm getting my master's in yoga studies right now, before I did this, I took a screenwriting class at UCLA, and I've always wanted to work in the film industry.
Oh, wow.
And as a writer, I have been writing screenplays, but I haven't really dedicated the time and energy to even try and sell one or make it into a movie. Yes. But right now, we have chosen to support a friend of mine who has a film. And so we're the executive producers of a film that's going to be shooting in Austin. And
that's, cool.
That's our scary mountain right now.
That's it.
So while I'm in India for 6 weeks studying, Michael's going to Austin for shooting the film. So I think you have to constantly just say to yourself, instead of these years being, wow, what am I going to do? I'm bored or whatever in my house, and I don't really know how to fill my time.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, why don't we find that next Mount Kilimanjaro? Why don't we, reach for something that seems unattainable? And it is. It's for me now. It's why not? If not now, when?
If not now, when? Yes.
If not now, when? Right?
Seriously.
So the metaphor for me of the mountain and what we did has nothing to do with actually physically being there. It's a mental construct that we somehow believe that we can. Now, let's say, for instance, you have a day, like I recently lost my dog, and I was sad about that. And you can't deny that. If you push down those,
you have to experience that emotion for sure.
You have to push through it. You have to work through it, right? So I'm not saying there's not things that are going to happen in this time of your life that are very real and very valid. But at the same time, I think you have to push yourself to say, wow, I deserve this. Self-love is about not going, well, I'm going to go do a spa day because I deserve it. No, it's about, I live my life like a spa day because I deserve it. I do a little exercise. I maybe have a massage in the afternoon.
Yes.
Eat really well. My home is calm and peaceful. That's a difference. The difference is it's not out there outside of me that I'm going to go and do. It is embodied in a way that brings me joy and vitality. Because really, equanimity and joy and vitality, I believe, is something that you, if it's not your set point, you need to work on.
That's true.
But what a joyful work.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't believe that we're on this planet, on this earth to suffer. And maybe there's times in your life, and it could be inherent, that life has some suffering. I believe we're supposed to exist in joy.
Yes.
I think that we're supposed to exist in that plane that we experienced on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. No, not every day, but it's there.
Yeah, and it's a part of it for sure. I definitely agree. Oh my goodness, this was so good, Stephanie. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I know it's going to inspire a lot of my listeners. Because we're at that point where I really want to be able to encourage more women to live a life on their own terms. And your story, I know for sure, is going to resonate with these. And they're going to be like, oh, she's doing it. I can do it too. And that's the goal. So
good, because I think what you said, on my own terms, is not selfish. I mean, we have to continually tell ourselves, this is my time. This is my time. My kids are grown. My career has flourished, and now I'm picking other things. There isn't a beginning and an end. It should be a fluid. And that organic growth and energy, tap into that. However you do it.
Yes. All right. You heard it. Tap into it, people. Tap into it. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I really appreciate you sharing your story. I know those listening, I know you got a lot out of it, but I just want to say that if this resonated with you, I want you to consider looking at my online community called Flourish, where we are doing this daily, where you get encouraged daily. I created that space because I know how challenging it can be for women when they try to do things alone. When you're in a group, it's like, it's just a domino effect. You just keep on encouraging one another, and we all
together we can do anything.
Together we can do anything for sure. And that's what I want, because I really want this, what I'm creating, I want it to be a movement. I want us to rise up and be the change in the world, because I know we can do it. I know we can do it. That's my goal. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Stephanie, for coming on.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you. And thank you all for listening. Don't forget to join us next week, every Tuesday. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
If you enjoyed listening to this show, you have to take a look at Flourish, my online global community exclusively for women in their 50s and beyond. We talk about the important issues affecting women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond in a safe and non-judgmental environment. We also provide the tools and resources to help you create your best life on your own terms. It's never too late and you're not too old. Go to the link below to learn more.